Hello and welcome back. This is Peds Bites. My name is Aaron Dykstra and I am the host for this video presentation. I am a pediatric nurse practitioner that specializes with kids, nutrition, and your family's health. So today I'm super excited. We're going to cover a couple of things. First and foremost, we're going to cover how to transform last week's plain old gluten-free flour blend into amazing, wonderful, nutritious, and delicious pancakes for you and your family. So join me now. We're excited to go on this journey together, and you can add this to your recipe and culinary skills as one of the many I'll be sharing with you to be able to support you in your journey with your family on better health. Alright guys, welcome back. I am so excited to have everybody here today. So just as a quick synopsis, last week we made some awesome gluten-free flour, which we have here today, along with a lot of other stuff as you can see. This gluten-free flour was made out of a blend of brown rice, oat groats, and quinoa. Like I said before on my last video, you can use a variety of different flours and grains. It just depends on what the flavor you want and what you are making with it. So for today's video, where we make pancakes, we are going to use this blend, and we'll probably modify it a little bit for next week's video when we make the waffles and the following week with the muffins, okay? As you can see, I have an assortment of goodies here that I'm going to go through really quick because this is part of our pancake recipe. So first what we're going to do is, this is my Himalayan salt. We go through this stuff pretty quick, and so I buy it by the pound, as you can see. This is a great way to put some extra sodium and good quality sodium in your foods. This is our baking powder. Something to keep in mind when you're buying baking powder, you want to make sure to get the aluminum-free baking powder. A lot of the manufacturers are kind of tricky, and they're starting to hide aluminum in the baking powder. And as we know, aluminum is very toxic for the brain, and it is very hard to get out of your body. It actually takes a long time. So we don't want to get aluminum or any other heavy metal in our body. This is the flax and chia meal we made last week too. This is what I'm going to use as part of my recipe as a binding unit. It's going to help for those flaky gluten-free products to hold together just a little bit better, to be a little bit more firm. This is just some baking soda to help with leavening and rising of those pancakes, and this is a little bit of stevia. Stevia, I use little bits of just some organic stevia, and the whole purpose is because I do not want my stuff going bitter. When you use a lot of stevia alone, it goes bitter. This is honey. We get our honey locally here. We always recommend local raw honey because you're getting the benefits not only of the sweetener, but then you're getting the benefits of all the local pollens and the good stuff that those bees are able to gather and accumulate. And those pollens and information and thing can transfer into your body and teach you how to be more resistant to things and help you with things like seasonal allergies. We've got milk. It asks for milk, but today we're going to use coconut milk. So coconut milk is going to be in our recipe today. I'm out of my normal almond milk or other varieties of milk, and so today we're going to do some coconut milk. This is the Thai Kitchen organic coconut milk. We got it at Costco on sale. They actually have a pretty good deal if you guys are looking for coconut milk. They generally do it at a fair price. To enhance and superfy our pancakes today, I'm also going to add a little bit of organic grass-fed whey protein powder. We fortify our pancakes and a lot of our starchy products with a little bit of collagen or protein powder to add some extra protein in there, just to be able to reduce how quickly their little bodies and my body, when I have those pancakes, spike that blood sugar, because we want to have good blood sugar maintenance when we do eat some of these foods. Got a couple eggs. Again, you can use just the flax and chia meal if you want for an egg substitute with a little bit of applesauce, but we love our eggs. Our eggs are grown in our backyard. They are organic, and so we are going to use them today because they are loaded with a lot of healthy amino acids and omega oils. This is our oil we're using for today. We are going to use a little bit of coconut oil. We can use olive oil, coconut oil. For the purposes of the flavor and what I want, we're going to do a little bit of coconut oil, but you can use olive oil, avocado oil. It really doesn't matter with this recipe. And then lastly, we've got a little bit of applesauce. We are lucky in our home, we can actually make this once a year. We do a big canning project once a year for all of our fruits and some of our veggies, and applesauce is one of those things that my kids love, and we love too because we use it to bake so much. So you're probably looking at some of this and saying, holy smokes, I really need all that just to make pancakes? The answer is no. You need some of this to make pancakes. You need some of the other stuff to superfy your pancakes and make them that much better for your kids. So to start today, what we're going to do is I'm going to start by getting my bowl, and then we're gonna add the flour in here. And so it's 1.5 cups of that gluten-free flour. I've pre-measured it out. So we're just gonna add that to my bowl. Next, we're gonna add the milk. It actually asks for 1.25 cups of milk. Usually you get about 1.5 cups per can. And so I'm just gonna do a little bit shy of that full can. You can measure it out if you really want to, but I hate measuring things personally because I think it takes some of the fun away from cooking. So we'll guesstimate, and usually it works out pretty good. It calls for 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I do this a little bit by flavor, but again, 1/4 teaspoon, small little pinch. We're gonna add that salt in there. For the chia and flax meal, usually per recipe of whatever I'm making, whether it's pancakes or waffles, I will put in a tablespoon of this chia flax meal. So we're just gonna get a nice scoop like this, right around a little over a tablespoon probably, and we're just gonna add that in there. And again, this will help bind, give fiber and other nutrients to those pancakes. Next, what we're gonna do, as I said before, we've got this amazing grass-fed organic whey powder. Again, if you want to, you can do collagen powder. You can also do vegetable-based protein powders from pea protein or others like the Orgain brand at Costco. They all work tremendously. Usually I'll add just a couple of tablespoons of this whey protein powder, and it works really good to boost that protein in each of those. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna save the baking soda and the baking powder for last because I don't want them to start initiating the leavening and the fluffing up of the batter too fast. Next I'm gonna probably add just my little bit of stevia. When I'm doing stevia, I literally do just a pinch. So we're talking about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoons worth in the whole recipe. And the reason is because I'm also gonna add a tablespoon of my nice honey. And so usually we'll get this melted down a little bit more, but this works just fine because we're gonna whip it up good. So I'll put right around a big dollop, tablespoon of honey in there. With honey, it's kind of tricky because if you add too much honey, it'll actually make your pancakes brown a little bit too fast. And so we don't want them browning too fast. And so I'll add just about that tablespoon and a bit of the honey. Next, what we're gonna do is I add applesauce. I like applesauce too to go along with my chia and flax meal because what it does is it also helps to bind those pancakes together, and it helps give a nice flavor too. It's a natural sweetness to the applesauce. Sometimes I'll only put applesauce in it and I'll actually exclude the honey. And so that's something that you guys can consider, but you don't have to. And so what I'm gonna do is put right around 1/2 cup of applesauce in there. Something else that's interesting is applesauce can actually replace some of the oil in your recipe. So if you don't want to add as much oil in your recipe, then all you have to do is add a little bit of extra applesauce and it'll do it. So our recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of any oil, whether it be butter, ghee, coconut oil, etc. I'm doing coconut oil today, and we'll do right around those 3 tablespoons. Put this aside. Next, we're gonna do our egg. It calls for 2 eggs. So I've got my yummy, tasty, homegrown eggs here. We'll just pop those babies in there really fast. Then what we'll do is we're gonna take my little whisk and we're gonna go ahead and just whisk this batter up really quick. I also started my griddle. As you can see right here, I turned it on. When I'm cooking with the gluten-free flours, I find that if I cook too high, sometimes the middle of the pancakes won't cook enough. And so I actually try to do it a little bit lower heat. So right around 300 degrees. So we're gonna whip this together really fast here. Looks like we might actually need a little bit well, it's actually turning out perfect. Sometimes with the gluten-free flour, you also have to add a teeny bit of extra water, especially when you're adding the chia and the flax, because the chia seed absorbs so much mass of water per unit of chia seed, and so sometimes it gets a little thick. So if your batter's looking too thick, like right now, it's kind of nice and runny. That's exactly how we want it. If it was thicker and clumpier, you just add a spot of water or a little bit more of your milk solution, okay? And so now what we're gonna do is I am gonna add the baking powder and baking soda really quick. And so with the baking powder, we are gonna go for 3 teaspoons. And so we're gonna get 3 teaspoons. I like to crush it in my palm just because it usually gets out those clumps, and nobody likes to chomp down on a nasty clump of baking powder in their pancake. I know I don't. So that's 2. We got 1 more here really quick. Perfect. And then usually I'll just do 1 little teaspoon or a half teaspoon to a teaspoon of baking soda. Just because the baking powders and the baking sodas work differently to help things rise, I like kind of the benefits of both. So lastly, we'll go ahead and mix this in. And you can actually smell it. It smells delicious. All right, we are ready to rock and roll. And so sometimes what families like to do, me personally, sometimes I will, sometimes I won't, put a little bit of oil on the griddle. It really doesn't matter which one you want to do, but for this purpose we'll put a little bit on, just a smidgen of my coconut oil. I'll just quickly put a teeny bit on, and then we'll spread it around. Now, something to know about cooking. When you're buying cooking equipment, things like pans, pots, griddles, for example, there are certain products that you want to stay far, far away from. First of all, aluminum, okay? Aluminum is terrible for you. It actually, when it heats up, starts to leach into your food, meaning it actually absorbs into your food. So when you start eating, you actually get small amounts of aluminum every time you eat. And as we talked about earlier, that aluminum will actually accumulate in your body and create a lot of havoc and potentially a lot of sickness. So we want to stay away from aluminum units. We also want to stay away from Teflon. Teflon, when it's actually heated to 350 degrees or more, starts to break down, especially if you're doing frying in it or cooking anything or using any metal objects on it. Teflon will break down, and Teflon, again, it's toxic, it's a poison, and so it will mess with your immune system and a lot of other organ systems, and so we want to stay away from Teflon. The best things to cook with are ceramic and stainless steel. This is a ceramic griddle that I got on Amazon, and so this is the one that I use. As you can see, I'm using a 1/3 cup scoop, so each pancake is right around a 1/3 cup of batter. And what I'll do is I'll lightly put it on, and you can see them start to bubble around the edges, bubble around the middle. It was getting a little bit hot, so I actually turned it down to about 285 in terms of temperature so I don't burn them, because the last thing I want to do is cook the outside but leave the inside soggy. And so I'll line these babies up like this. Get them nice and cooking. And so the goal with pancakes is the following. You know your pancake's getting ready to turn because the outer edge will start to dry out and it'll look like it's done. And so when the outer edge is drying out and it stopped bubbling and you know it's done and ready, then you can go ahead and flip your pancake. If you do it too soon, you're going to try to flip your pancake and it's going to be a hot mess, because what's going to happen is it's going to fall apart mid-air and you won't be able to do anything with that pancake. So we're going to give it a couple minutes here to cook. Now, as we talked about before, you know, what out of this did you have to use? What didn't you have to use? So technically speaking, we did not have to use the applesauce, okay? We did not have to use the whey or other protein powders, all right? We did not have to use things like coconut milk. You could use other forms of milk if you wanted to. But everything else traditionally would be a basic recipe for pancakes. The difference is I'm wanting to fortify my pancakes. I want to give my kids a protein pack in the morning, not just a carbohydrate rush. And so what I do is I add that protein powder along with the chia and the flax seed, and then I also add some applesauce for natural sweetener and also the binding properties, which makes my pancakes come out pretty awesome. So they've slowed down a little bit, so I turned it up. I'll probably leave it right about 300 degrees. And we will just let these things cook for just 2 seconds, and then we will get flipping and get rolling. And so a lot of the families, you know, want to know, hey, where are you getting your ingredients? And so again, I'm going to repeat this because last week I talked a little bit about it. So when you're buying grains, when you're buying ingredients, make sure that you're buying, number one, organic, because we're really wanting to stay away from the pesticides, the herbicides, and the GMO, meaning genetically modified food products. They are very hard on our body. They are very hard on all of our organ systems, especially the endocrine system and our brain and our immune system. And so if you're hoping for longevity, good health, long life, then those are things you really want to stay away from. Places you can get that are Co-op in Meridian and Boise. You can get organic grains and other products at Azure Standard, which is a website. You can also get them at Winco Foods, Fred Meyer's, and a couple of other resources. I'll actually add that to the end of the video today just so you guys can have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this, show you guys what these pancakes kind of look like really quick, and then we'll come right back so we can show you what to do next. So as you can see right here, you can actually start to see the edge of these pancakes drying out, and even though they're bubbly, they are not looking as soggy and wet as before. You can see on the edges that the edges aren't as shiny as the centers, and so that tells me that these pancakes are ready to flip. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to flip these pancakes. So I've got my nifty spatula here. Again, I don't want to use metal just due to the fact that a lot of the times, even with their ceramic coated skillets and other instruments, a lot of the time they'll put aluminum beneath it. So if you use metal, it'll scratch off that protective ceramic and you'll still have the properties of the aluminum that are leaching. So we don't want that. So you can see that we've got some beautiful pancakes going on. A little extra crispy on a couple of these. I think I waited just a hair too long, but that's okay. We'll keep it down here a second. And the nice part is once the one side's done, then it doesn't take quite as long on the other side to finish. They feel amazing. They're nice and fluffy. They look absolutely wonderful. I'm super excited. Now, what do I put on my pancakes for my kids to eat? So we do an assortment of things. We will actually get 100% maple from Costco, organic maple. You can also get that from Fred Meyer. You can also get it from Co-op if you want it. We put our local raw honey on it. We'll also make and buy bulk blueberries when blueberries go on sale if we've ran out of the blueberries in our yard. And what we'll do is we'll make like a little jam or a little blend and warm it up and throw that on almost like a hot, thick blueberry syrup, and it's super good. For parents who are wanting to be able to know, hey, how do we do this? How do we do it better? A lot of the times to make eating healthy more affordable is parents do need to think about buying bulk just a little bit, because a lot of the times when you buy bulk or buy in larger quantities, you get a lot better price. And you also need to start thinking about, hey, making things in bulk. Meaning, when I make pancakes, don't just make enough for the one breakfast for your kids. Make enough for the breakfast, plus enough maybe for another breakfast that you can just warm up really quick. That way you're not having to cook every single meal each and every time from scratch. And that's what helps me and my family. And that's why we do things like canning, because we prepare soups, we prepare chilies, etc., and keep them canned, or we keep some prepared meals frozen that we've made previously so that we can just bring them out on a busy day and it's ready to go. So I think we're almost ready for these pancakes. They look absolutely gorgeous. I was just checking the other side. You can see here we've got a great, wonderful color on it, nice and brown. We don't want the black because black is a form of carcinogen, meaning you don't want charcoal in your gut and in your body. So what we're gonna do is put another load on. Here in 2 seconds, we'll put another batch. Really quick, throw more batch on. And this one I'm not even gonna do any oil on because I don't actually think it needed the oil. I think it actually did really good without the oil. So we'll put this batch on without the oil, spread these pancakes just a little bit. I don't know about you, but I'm getting excited. This looks good. One more. We've almost used all of our batter. So for each batch, as you can see, each pancake, you know, you've got a decent sized pancake. It's about maybe, you know, 3 inches round, 3 to 4 inches round. This will make about, let's see, it'll make about 2 dozen pancakes, a little bit more if you do small pancakes. And so that's pretty good for just a single batch. So I want to thank everybody. Today we learned how to make gluten-free pancakes using our amazing gluten-free flour from last week. We learned how to fortify and superfy those pancakes to make them even more nutritious with flax and chia meal, with some whey, or you could also, as we said, use a vegetable protein base and applesauce. And so this is something amazing that your kids will absolutely love. You can choose any of a variety of toppings to top these with. And I'm excited for our next video where we're gonna learn how to make waffles using, again, this same flour recipe. You just do things a teeny bit different because you want those delicious, yummy, toasty waffles. So thank you and see you next time on